All right, team. We are so excited to have Brooke Hemingway on this Zoom with us. We are just kicking off a little dreams and vision series all about just having that dream in your heart and the vision. You know, there's that saying about without the vision, the people perish, and you have to dream big. And I just felt kind of impressed, like, we just need to get back to like really believing big in our dreams and really digging deep into our whys. And I know some of you maybe have been on this call, you've been doing a little while, or you've been doing a long while, and maybe your dreams and your why has changed. Maybe it needs an update. And so just to let you know, Brooke's going to be our amazing special speaker. But we're going to be doing some dream boards. Tonight, you don't have to have all your stuff for your dream board. Don't worry. If you don't have that together yet, you have another week to start thinking and dreaming and planning. But I wanted to do just a really great kickoff training session about dreams and visions and your why. And I made a post in the Jewel page, and Brooke, like, I'm almost immediately was like, oh, that is my jam. I'm all about dreams and visions. I will love to come pour into your team. And I was just so blown away by that because I know that she does know a thing or two about dreams and vision and pouring into other women and men too, and families and empowering them. And so I just love Brooke with all my heart. If you know me, you know I love Brooke. And I am so excited to have you come on and just kick us off with this. I'm pretty much just going to let Brooke take it away. So thank you, Brooke.
Thank you. I love you too, Rebecca. She was actually my team call, and a lot of you guys got to be on that call and hear her speak. And we've known each other for years. And I think that's such a beautiful part of this business, and should be a part of your vision board, is who do you want to be surrounded with in 5 years? Who do you want to be surrounded by in 10 years? Who do you look up to that is, maybe a diamond or someone that you admire, that you're like, I want to keep company with that person. I want to break bread with that person. I want to go to lunch or take a hike with that person. I want to be in that person's circle or presence. I have people that are on my vision board that I want to, speak at their events, or I want to have lunch with, or I want to develop a friendship or a relationship with, because proximity is power. And so, part of your vision board should be that. And I love keeping company with people like Rebecca. She's a good woman, and I'm attracted to people that genuinely have good hearts. Not always the flash and the bling and all that kind of stuff, but like, give me the good, solid people with the good hearts that are going to be here, that are going to be still standing and going to be a part of my life in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And so you're blessed to have a leader like that is consistent and it is showing up for you. Some of you are making your dream boards and your vision boards right now. I love that. Even if you're not, I want you to be writing down words, thoughts, images, pictures that come to your mind tonight. Maybe it's a phrase that I say, or it's just an aha moment that you have internally that you want to share with us, and you want to put in the chat some thoughts that you have to help your sisters here that are creating their own vision board and dream board. I actually also just got off of another call with some of my jewels that I meet with once a week, and we were just talking about this topic, and it wasn't exactly the same as what I'm going to talk about tonight, but we were talking about how so many people nowadays, especially after 2020 and 2021 and everything that we've been through the last couple of years, have kind of lost their drive. They've sort of lost their vision. They're out there sort of rudderless, without direction and without motivation, and have kind of let go of a lot of those things that used to pull them forward or push them forward. And I don't know if you can relate to this. Maybe you've experienced this feeling yourself, of feeling a little bit directionless, of feeling like you didn't have your rudder, of feeling like that you didn't really have the motivation, or times just really got you down, or maybe you got into a place where you were just kind of used to average, or you were just sort of used to existing for a couple of years. And so you've been sort of coasting. Or maybe you're just seeing that with people that like people that used to have motivation, people that used to have vision, used to have drive. And you're like, where did it go? And it's just like, it's kind of been forgotten. It's kind of been lost. And I feel like one of the biggest tools that is harnessed against us is the tool of discouragement. And discouragement is the opposite of dreaming. Discouragement is the opposite of dreaming. When you are discouraged, you are not in that most like divine, loved sort of space that you are created to be in. When you're discouraged, it is the opposite of being in a dream state. And so I feel like so many of us have lost our dreams because for a couple of years, we've just been kind of discouraged. And it is that opposite pole. And so there are a couple of things that are really important. And if you can seize onto these tonight and you can take it and move forward, you will be the ones that succeed. You will be the ones that are incredibly successful. And now more than ever, it's an important time to step up as a leader. It's an important time to step up as a person with vision or a visionary person. It's important to step up and be willing to put yourself out there and to lead people, whether it's a team of 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, 500 people. It doesn't matter. Just stepping up and taking the moves, making the moves to get yourself to move forward, because so many people aren't. So many people are still in cruise mode or chill mode or discouragement mode, and they're kind of milking, I would say, like milking 2020 for all they can. And here we are about to wrap up 2022, and you can choose, because it is a choice. You can choose to be the person that decides to dream again, to be the person that decides to cast a vision to people again. And you will be the minority. I will tell you that right now, is like, this is your time to shine and to be out there talking about what's possible, talking about the money people can make, talking about how people can change their life, talking about how you don't have to be sick and tired, talking about how you can have choices as a family. Like, you can be that voice that will move people and that will move mountains in your business, because so many, like I said, will choose not to do that. And it is the easy path to stay in discouragement and to stay in doubt and to stay in fear and to stay in a waiting pattern. The courageous one is to step up and decide, I'm going to dream and I'm going to cast vision and I'm going to bring people along with me. In fact, Ed Milet wrote this book, The Power of One More, which some of you might have done the book club with me that I did last month. But there's a chapter in there where he talks about 11, they're like 11 principles for leadership. Okay. And there's 11 things that the best leaders have that they really like, you've got to start practicing and harnessing. And the number one thing is you have to be an evangelist. Okay. You have to be an evangelist. And you might be thinking, hey, are we having a religious talk here? No, to be an evangelist is not, we're not talking about religion, but like what characteristics come to mind when you think of an evangelist? Like, put it in the chat. When you think of somebody that's an evangelist, like, how would you describe them? Okay. Charismatic. Yes. Charismatic. What else? Excited about what they believe. Mm-hmm. Outspoken. Yeah, they speak up, motivator, preach with passion. Yes. So that passion, boldness, right? Energy. They exude belief. They exude passion. They move people. They stir people from the inside out. You have to become an evangelist. And to become an evangelist means every single day you've got to be working on yourself. It starts with you, right? How are you taking care of your body? How are you taking care of your heart? How are you taking care of your soul? How are you staying connected to a higher purpose and to that person that created you, whatever that is for you? Like, how are you staying connected to that so that you can have the energy and power behind your words that moves people, that makes you an evangelist, right? That was one of the things. The second thing that I pulled out of those 11 for today is you cannot get tired of talking about what you're talking about. How many of you guys have complained like, oh, I feel like I'm a broken record. Everybody's already heard everything before. Everybody knows my story. I feel like I'm posting too much. I'm talking too much about it. Like, everybody already knows everything. I don't need to say this. Or maybe even Rebecca feels like that sometimes when she's training you guys. I've already trained on this. They already know this stuff. No. Persistent repetition, continuing to show up and to share your story and to talk about why you do what you do and to talk about your vision for the future and what you want for your family and how you want to help other people and how you want to help them to create their futures for their family. Like, persistently over and over and over and over for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, like never tiring of your true story and sharing it with people. And when you become an evangelist and you become somebody that's unstoppable, like you never get tired of sharing your story. And even if you're tempted to get tired, you're like, oh, I know everyone hasn't heard it. I know everyone doesn't know it. And I'm going to share it again. And I'm going to share it again. And I'm going to share it again. And I'm going to talk that health again. And I'm going to talk about casting a vision for your life and having uh, a different way of living that maybe you've never thought about having, that network marketing can give you. And those two things are going to be so, so important for you creating the vision that you have for your life. See, you have to be an evangelist, not just for other people, but you have to be an evangelist for yourself, to remind yourself, like, hey, this is why, like, I am bought, like, I am sold to this idea of network marketing and building a business to jewel in Plexus. I am absolutely 100% signed, sealed, delivered. I believe in Plexus, 100% evangelist. That's me. Okay. Anybody that knows me knows that about me. It's like the products, the business, the community, everything. Okay. You need that for yourself. And so if you're struggling at all in that area and you're struggling to see a vision for yourself, for your future with this business, for what it can do for your family, for your body, for your health, for your bank account, start with working on your belief. Start with working on your belief. And I know you hear a lot about belief, but sometimes we get away from those habits that we had in the beginning, right? And so I feel like, what we've been through the last couple of years is kind of like, all right, now we're back around to like having a little bit of a revival of the basics, a revival of the basics, which means if I want to grow my belief, what did I do to grow my belief in the beginning? I read testimonials, and I made sure I didn't just skim through them or look at the before and after picture. I actually read the words that somebody wrote about how it helped them get out of bed and how it helped them to not yell at their kids, and how for the first time in 20 years they could walk a mile, and how they were able to get off of their medication and their depression went away, or whatever it might be. Like, actually read the whole testimonial, right? Don't just skim or look at the pictures, but start reading stories again, because those will spark that belief and that fire. Start listening when people are sharing their story, not making yourself busy doing other things when you're listening to an info call about Plexus or a team call. Stop doing other things and be present, because when you were building your belief, you were present. You were involved and engaged in that call. You were involved and engaged in reading that testimonial. You were listening to that Diamond documentary, because there was that part of you that really longed to believe that this could work for you. And there's still that part of you that longs to believe that this can work for you. And so we have to go back to the basics of investing that time into building our belief in the stories, in the products, in the business. And that is tuning into those calls. And like I said, being present or reading those stories. I also want to encourage you, if it's been a while since you've picked up a book or listened to a podcast or listened to something on Audible or listened to something on YouTube, pick those habits back up. I had a period of time for a couple of years where I wasn't listening to very much. And I really believe in listening to your own voice. I always talk about that. But sometimes your own voice will deceive you, and it'll trick you, and it'll let you down, and it'll start telling you stories about what is or isn't possible for you. And while I want you to listen to your voice, when your voice is like speaking trash talk to you, you need some other voices in your head. And those voices can come from books, they can come from podcasts, they can come from Audible books, YouTube videos, corporate trainings. How's your investment in yourself as far as what you're putting into your ears, right? Take an evaluation there. And if you're lacking some vision, which is based in lacking belief, are you investing that time in both investigating the testimonials and listening to the Diamond documentaries, but also filling your cup with personal development and growth and things that will challenge the negative voices that are always like on repeat, like the static fuzz of like an old radio. That like static fuzz is like the sound of the negative voices in the back of your head. It's always going to be there. Okay. You're not ever going to escape all negative thoughts or all negative feelings, like always going to be there. However, you get to decide what the volume is. And if the only thing you're listening to is your own thoughts, that volume is going to get louder and louder and louder and louder. And so we have to counteract that by putting other positive influences into our voice. And those can be corporate calls, team calls, time with God, or in worship, whatever you do, podcasts, books, etc., so that we can decrease the volume on the negative voices and increase the volume on the positive voices. As you do this, you're going to start to feel that belief reignite inside of you. And you're going to start to actually believe again, you know what? Yeah, maybe I've been at gold for a couple years, or I've been at senior gold, or I've been at ruby, or I've dropped back 200 points, but that doesn't really mean anything. And I know I can say that to you and you can be like, well, what do you mean that doesn't mean anything? That means I'm making a lot less money. But what I mean is it doesn't mean anything about your ability to succeed. Like where you are right now actually doesn't mean anything about your ability to succeed. It's just that's where your starting point is. And on this call that I just got off with my jewels, one of my jewels that is a sapphire that's lost a few hundred points. So she's a few hundred points under sapphire. I'm really discouraging. It's like I got to start all over again. Like my builders, they all quit. Put a 1 in the chat if that's ever happened. Anyone that was ever sharing with you, have you had people quit on you? Stop sharing, stop building a business, stop taking their products. Put a 1 in the comments, okay? And I literally, the first response I had, and it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, isn't it really awesome that you're starting with 2,500 points in your back office? Because I mean, if you're starting over, it's pretty awesome that you're starting with 2,500 points. You could even say that to yourself if you're at 50 points or 100 points or 200 points and you're like, I'm starting over. Oh my goodness. Instead, what if it was like, I'm starting and I'm starting at 200 points. This is awesome. I'm starting and I'm starting at 100 points. This is awesome. Right? Like, be grateful for what you have, because that gratitude is going to help you to get more so than continuing to think, oh my gosh, I'm starting over. Here we go again. I got to find more new people. It's like, yay, I'm starting with an automatic $300 paycheck that's just there from those 100 points. Awesome. That's where I'm starting from. This is literally what I think when I look at my points every month, whether they go down or whether they go up. And the bigger your team, the bigger the swing. Rebecca will tell you, like, I can swing 1,000 points down. I can swing 1,500 points forward. I can swing 2,000 points down, 3,000 points forward. It's like crazy. But wherever I am, I'm like, okay, cool. That's my starting point. What can I do from here to grow this month? At least I've got.
Can I just interject how much I love that? I love that. Because it's so true. You're not starting, like if you look at like I'm starting over, you tend to feel like it's zero. It's not zero. Like you have something, and be grateful for the something that we have going on, because it's not from ground zero. I love that point. Sorry, I just
Oh my goodness. It's not from ground zero. And if you can make that perspective shift, like you would actually be excited. Because it's like, okay, I'm not starting from zero in my points, but I'm also not starting from zero in my experience. Like now I'm an experienced network marketer. I'm an experienced network marketer showing up. I've learned a lot of things. So the second time around, or the fourth time, or the 10th time I'm restarting, I'm better. I'm more seasoned. I have more experience. It's going to be easier in a lot of ways because I know what to expect. And it's never starting over completely. It's starting as a new version of you that's already getting some money coming in. So it's like, yay, it's never going to be as hard as the first time. And you've already done the first time. The first time was the hardest. So stop making up a story that this is like so sad or so hard. No, it was really hard when you had to decide to make that first post, when it took you a month to sign up one person, right? Or maybe it took you a couple months to go silver, or a year or 2 years or 3 years to go gold. Okay. That was hard because that was your first time, but this isn't your first time now. It's going to be so much easier if you believe it's going to be easier. So you're not starting from zero, you're starting from wherever you are, already getting a paycheck. Now let's talk about where you're going, and let's talk about what you want to see for your life. And this is cool because it did come up on our call. That was the team call where Michelle was talking about the type of people that she wanted to build a business with and she wanted to work with. And so I want to start there, and I want you to just take down some notes as I'm talking about this. One of the things that I wanted the most when I started my business is I wanted a specific kind of woman. I didn't want just anyone. I didn't want just, anybody that was like popular or just had a huge following, that was just kind of willy nilly and might be hot, might be cold. Like, I didn't want just anyone. I specifically envisioned women that loved God, that wanted to do good, and that did not have a lot of drama. That doesn't mean I didn't get any drama, but I specifically, every time I envisioned what I wanted and what I prayed for, it was women that were good women with good hearts, that loved God, that wanted to help people, and that would not bring a lot of drama with them. And I started to picture what these people would be like. It didn't matter what age or race or any of that kind of stuff, but just like my criteria was, are they good people with good morals, good character, that want to serve, that want to give? And I started to picture and envision the kind of people I wanted. I also wanted people that weren't complainers, that knew how to work hard, that were willing to work hard for a purpose, for a reason, for a meaning. And so I wanted hardworking women that could dig in and that wouldn't just complain and be princesses. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, oh my gosh, I die when people are just total princesses. I'm like, I'm not really sure I can handle this, because I was nursing a baby, stirring dinner, leading a Zoom call, like all at once. Like, don't be a princess. Like, those are the things that I wanted and I asked for and I prayed for. Are you writing down specific characteristics of who you envision? It doesn't have to be your list of names, but it's like, what kind of people do you want to draw into your life? Put some characteristics in the chat. A part of your vision, and a huge part of your vision, is who you want to be surrounded with and who you want to be keeping company with and who you want to be doing this with, because these are people that you're going to have to talk to on a regular basis and you're going to be doing business with for years, for decades. These are people that are going to become a part of your life. They're going to be your friends. They're going to walk you through hard times and good times. They are going to be in the ups and downs of the business. Like, what are some characteristics that you want in the people that build a business with you? Put them in the chat. They become your friends and family. Yes, positive, right? Molly wants positive people. She doesn't want the negative Nellies all the time. Bold, people that are courageous, right? Leslie's like, I want some people that have some guts. Like, they're courageous, they're bold, maybe they're outspoken, maybe they are like they're visionary themselves. Like, once they get behind a cause or a mission, they really go for something. Bridget's like, I want committed people. Like, I don't want these people that are in and out and in and out. I want them committed. I want them consistent. I want you to visualize, picture, and write down the description of who these people are. Independent is so important. Self-starter, independent. They're integritous. I don't even know if that's a real word. I think it is. They tell the truth. Who they are is who they are. You know who they are. You know what they believe. You know what they're all about. Okay? So write that down. Why does that matter? Because if you're not real clear on who you want to attract and the kind of people that you want to be in your business, you will not become her. Everything that you write down right now is who you need to become. Right? So if you want to attract people that are bold, you're like, well, shoot, darn it, I wrote down bold. That means I've got to become bold and courageous. Shoot, committed. okay, like if I'm going to attract committed people, I have to be committed. Have I been committed on a scale of 1 to 10? Maybe I'm a 3. Okay. If I want to attract committed people, I'm going to make the commitment to start working on me being committed, right? If I want to attract positive people, I'm going to have to start looking for the bright side. Even if I'm a glass half empty person, I'm going to start training my brain to look for the positive in every situation. Those characteristics you write down of the people that you can envision yourself being with, spending time with, doing business with, making memories with, having retreats with, like all these, can you picture that? Like all those characteristics you are going to work on becoming. I have this special thing in my life. It's these special words that were spoken over me when I was 14 years old. And it's something that I read often. And I don't talk about it often, but one of the lines in it says, uh, um, um, it gives me this admonition: cultivate the disposition to be cheerful. Okay. I was not a naturally cheerful person. I mean, I wasn't like all black balloons and clouds and stuff, but I was definitely a glass half empty person. Not really super, believing that things were going to go good for me. I was kind of more like, well, this is just the way it is, and this is how it is, and it sucks, and everything's hard. And it's hard being a mom, and blah 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 blah. But I was admonished to cultivate the disposition to be cheerful, and so I worked on that. I worked on learning how to be cheerful. I worked on learning how to see the glass half full. I worked on showing up with big hugs. Rebecca will tell you I give big hugs and smiles and loving on people and just cultivating this disposition of being cheerful. What do you think that's brought me in my life? Has it brought me business partners, people that stay with me? What do you need to cultivate in yourself that you want so badly from other people, but you're not giving yet? And this is not to call you out or make you feel bad, but thinking of this vision of who you want and writing it down and then making a commitment that, that's who I'm going to become. I'm going to become her. I am her. I am the secret. It starts with me. Okay. The second part of vision that I want to focus on, once we've got that, figured out, and I want you to take some time tonight. And, if you want to send me a message and you want to send me that description and be like, I figured her out, like this is who I want. And I realize I got some work to do in this area, and this area so that I can attract her. I promise you it's a real thing. I shared with you my own personal experience of cultivate your disposition to be cheerful. Like that's what I felt about that. But like I was kind of being called out in that blessing, like, yeah, that's what I need to do. And so that's what I set out to do. If I was going to be successful in this business, I couldn't be a glass half empty person. I was going to have to learn how to cultivate that cheerfulness and that belief and that positivity. And you can do it too. The second thing that I want you to think about when you think about vision is I want you to understand that becoming a visionary person and becoming a person that dreams, that sees things in their dreams, that feels things in their heart and their spirit and their soul, it's a practice. It's a practice. And we all do it when we're young. And I know this because I have a 4-year-old. I also have a 7-year-old and 4 others that are older. But my 4-year-old is like full of imagination and dreams. And she will be like brushing her hair in the mirror and she'll be like, I'm so beautiful. Right? Like it's like it is the sweetest, most amazing thing. And she'll tell me all these things she's gonna do. And like she is full on, like she dreams and she believes everything that she says coming out of her mouth. And I'm like, that's right, baby girl. Like, you are so beautiful. Your heart is beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. Like, everything is beautiful. And then what happens is we get an idea and we get an experience and it gets stored in our amygdala. This is our emotion and our feeling bank of our brain. And it gets stored in our brain sometime around the age of 5, 6 years old. And from that point on, it's kind of like we start to come out of this trance, which is like not a trance, but we start to come out of reality and into this trance. is what I meant to say. And we've been going through life sort of in this trance, which is like, you know what, be realistic. Like, I mean, you're really not that special. I mean, why do you think you can do this? Like, you've just been a stay at home mom for this many years, or you never finished college, or you got pregnant out of wedlock, or you're divorced, or you've always been a school teacher. You'll always be a school teacher. We end up like coming out of this dream state, which is our most innocent, true, precious, righteous, right on state, into this trance of like going through life sleepwalking, not believing that anything extraordinary is possible for us. And so for some of you, it's hard to dream because you've lived so long just kind of existing, and you've lived so long just accepting the state and the situation that your life has been in. And life has maybe been really hard for you. There have been hard circumstances. Maybe you are divorced, or maybe you've lost a loved one, or you've been in a career that's really beat the life out of you. And you're in a place where it's like it feels almost impossible to think about what you want in your life. And one of the questions that helps me and helps me to help other people is to ask them to think back to a happy time in their life, and what did they love? What did they love doing? What was something they wanted to do? And it might even be back when you were like 6 years old, or 8 years old, or 12 years old, when you were like, I want to go to Disneyland, or I want to go to New York City, or I want to ride a horse. Like, it might seem very childlike, and it might seem very much like silly, but in order to learn how to dream again, you've got to get in touch with like the things that you used to dream about and the things that you used to want to do. And while they might not necessarily be what you want to do now, you don't know. And so go back to that person that had dreams, that had things that they wanted to do when they grew up, or when they had the money to do them, and just start writing down what some of your dreams used to be, what some of your imaginings used to be. I used to sit out on the roof under the stars and the moonlight and write poetry. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna write books, and I'm gonna write poetry. And I was like such a little romantic, and I was gonna like live in New York City and go to Paris and do all these things. Well, I was supposed to go to Paris last in April, but that didn't happen. But I did get to go to Portugal, right? But I had all these different dreams. And I just, when I started dreaming again, I started to think about all the things that I used to love, and the things that I used to want to do. And I found which ones of those resonated with me still, and which ones still got me excited. Or as my friend Christy Jack says, what makes your gills squirt? Your gills is like when you start salivating, right? What makes your gills squirt? Like what gets you like tingly and makes your gills squirt when you write down those things from when you were a child? Maybe some of those things still exist inside of you, and you still want to make happen and want to make come true. And it's not too late. It's not too late to make those dreams come true. And so we start there. But also, the other part of the practice of figuring out what it is you want is literally slowing down enough to listen to yourself. How many of you guys are like, you are like professional busy bees? Anybody a professional busy bee? Put a one in the chat if you're a professional busy bee. Always serving other people, always working, always running the kids around, always cleaning the house, always doing your plexus business. You're always doing something and never doing nothing. If you're never doing nothing, your creativity level goes like, it's literally, they have clinically proven it, that if you want to have creative ideas, if you want to get your imaginative juices flowing, if you want to like tap into more dreaming, you have to have time that's set aside where absolutely nothing is planned. And for those of you that have built your worth around how hard you can work, this is going to be hard, right? That was me. I was like, I'll just work hard. I know how to work hard. If I work hard, I'll be a good person. And when I was first told to like plan time into my schedule that had nothing in it, and like I was instructed to just like lay on my bed and stare at the ceiling, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my mind. because I was so used to keeping myself busy with the kids, with Plexus, with my service stuff at church. Like I was always going from thing to thing to thing and never giving my brain time to just sit and think and dream. And I want to encourage you guys to set aside some time once a week at least, maybe every Sunday. I've learned how to really slow down on Sundays, but setting aside that time at least once a week where nothing at all is planned into your schedule. I'm not even talking about like planning in your workout. Like your workout is not nothing time. Your workout, you're working out and you're counting your repetitions and you're doing stuff like that. That doesn't count. Time where you're sitting out on the porch, you're looking out at the field, or you're looking at maybe the kids playing in the back, or you're just lying in bed. Maybe you set aside 30 minutes early in the morning on a weekend morning when the kids are still sleeping. And that's just time where you sit and you think and you dream and you picture, if my life could be different, if my life could be my dream life, what would it look like? Where would I be living? Who would I be with? What would I be doing? What would I be wearing? What are some activities I would be engaged in every single day? What are some experiences I would be having? How would I feel? How would I treat myself? What would that be like? Like if I had an extra $100,000 every month in my bank account, what would my life look like? And you just start sitting there thinking about it. And at first it's going to feel really weird and it's going to feel really foreign. But the more time you spend dreaming about it and thinking about it on a regular, consistent basis, the more real it's going to be. I have this philosophy that there are a lot of people actually, and I've seen this even within Plexus, and this will kind of be the last sort of thought I share because I'm going kind of long, but I have this philosophy and I've seen it with hundreds of jewels and people in Plexus, that you can achieve success and you can hit that mark even if you don't dream or don't believe in yourself. Like you can muscle it, you can do the work, you can hustle it, you can get there, but you won't be able to sustain it. And it will drop back down. And even wherever you are, if you're a ruby and you've dropped down, senior ruby, emerald, sapphire, etc., and you've dropped down like a lot. I'm not talking about a little, but you've dropped down a lot. And my theory is it's because you are not familiar with that version of yourself that is making that kind of money, that is driving that kind of car, that is being recognized at that level, that's being asked to speak, that's being asked to coach, that's being asked to participate in higher level things. Like you are not familiar with her. And because you are not familiar with her, she's really uncomfortable. She doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel comfortable. You actually don't really want to spend time with her because you're not familiar with her. How many of us like to be around a stranger that we're not familiar with, that we're not comfortable with, especially like a stranger that maybe thinks she's better than us? Oh, no, no. We don't want to be around things that are not familiar, even if she doesn't think she's better than us, right? Because that next version of you doesn't. But we start to create these feelings and it's really uncomfortable because we haven't spent enough time with her. It's so important that a part of your time in creating this vision for your life and where you want to be, and I believe this should be a daily practice, and I've asked my jewels and those that are working towards becoming jewels to spend time in future self meditation. You don't have to say meditation if that feels like a weird word to you, but future self white space, or future self time, future self prayer. And in that, it can be 3 to 5 minutes, like literally 3 to 5 minutes that you spend with yourself that's at that next level. And when you close your eyes and you think about her, you think about where she's sitting at convention and when she's walking across that stage and who she's got around her. And you can picture her with that picture with her team at convention and these people that she loves. And you can picture her creating her first retreat and like bringing people in and like having these rich relationships. And you can see the laughter and you can see the sacrifice that went into it. And you can see yourself up leveled. You know what she's doing, what she's wearing, how she's talking, what she's listening to. What is she listening to? Is she praying every morning, every night? Like, what is she doing? And you get yourself super, super familiar and comfortable with this next version of you that it feels so uncomfortable to stay where you're at. Because every day you spent time with her, this person that you already are, she's already inside of you. She's just waiting for you to show up. And you've spent 3 to 5 minutes every single morning, every single night, picturing her, thinking about how even things like how her desk is different, how her workspace is different, how her bed is made, how she gets up and takes care of herself every morning and she exercises and she does her devotion or whatever it is. Like, you've spent this time with her. She feels so real to you that you have to inch your way up to her. Like, you absolutely have to get to her because it's so uncomfortable to stay here because she's so real to you now. And staying here feels so wrong. And it gives you that necessary motivation to little by little by little by little rise yourself up to her standards. And when you meet her and you've accomplished what you've accomplished, you keep her. You keep company with her. She's familiar. She's comfortable. She feels like you just came home. And you know her because you spent time with her every single day. I'm talking every single day. If you want a different life, if you want a different set of circumstances in your business, if you want to be in a different place, it starts with you. And you have to start picturing yourself. You have to stop looking around at other people and thinking they're special, they're different, they're beautiful, they're skinny, they're smart, they have a medical background. Whatever else you're saying, you have to stop spending time in comparison and you just have to spend time with yourself, with your future self, envisioning her, seeing what she's doing, what she's reading, how she's showing up, how she respects her body, her space, her relationships, her time. And when you spend that time with her, you are going to become her. Everything about your business starts with you. Everything else is just manini. It's small kind. It's just the little details, like what system you're going to use, what messages you're going to send, what graphic you're going to use. Like, none of that really matters that much if you can't picture yourself there. And so I want to encourage you to spend 3 to 5 minutes. Do you have 3 to 5 minutes? Tell me in the chat. Do you have 3 to 5 minutes to spend with your future self, to start envisioning her? I promise you, you are not her right now. And I promise you, if you got what you said you wanted right now, you would lose it. But I also promise you that if you start spending time with her, which is exactly what I did on my way to Diamond, I would go out and I would take walks and I would think about what my life would be like and what I would be doing and who I would be with and whose life I would have changed and what my network would be and how I would be loving people and what I was going to be doing with my family and how we were going to have a place in the woods in the cabin, which we have now. I started to envision all of this. And when I got it, I kept it and I kept growing because I was familiar with her. Become familiar with that version of you by consciously choosing to spend 3 to 5 minutes every day with her. And then once a week, having nothing time, planning no 30 minutes, nothing time. Lay on your bed, sit outside under a tree, feel like a total fool. If nothing is coming to your mind, it's totally fine. It's a discipline, it's a practice. Eventually, you are training yourself to be still and to listen to what God wants to tell you is for you so that you can figure out
what you want, not what Sally wants, not what Kelly wants, not what Rebecca wants, not what Melissa wants, not what anybody else wants, but what you want. So important to figure out what you want, because we get all these ideas from other people of what they want. Maybe I should want that. Maybe I should want that. Nope. What do you want? Spend your white space at least once a week doing that. And I hope that by doing these two things, you're going to be able to expand your vision for what's possible for your life. And you'll stop limiting yourself, and you'll start seeing yourself at that next level as the person who has the things that right now you're saying you want, right? You're going to start showing up as a different person, and you will have those things that you want. So that's what I wanted to share as far as like literally things that I do. And it might be really simple and seem super silly, but I've just seen too many people get successful and lose it all because they just hadn't elevated how they thought about themselves, and they hadn't become familiar with another level of themselves. And so, if you want to have that vision and you want to keep that vision, you've got to make it near and dear to your heart and something that you're comfortable with.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Brooke. Thank you so much. I literally have tears in my eyes. I don't know if anybody else does, but this was a powerful message, and it's something we all needed to hear. So thank you so much.
Love you. Thanks for having me tonight. Go cast those and those dreams and become an evangelist. Don't ever get tired of what you're talking about. And sometimes you're given that pep talk, that evangelist talk to yourself. But you know what? That's part of the journey. And I've just learned, you guys, that like anything is possible. There's nothing that is impossible. Like if you demand that it be possible and you are determined that it be possible and you visualize it, it is possible for you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Brooke.